Welcome back. Let's put this in the ether. You know what? I like to compare it. Marriages is like jumping into a venomous snake pit, right? That people didn't tell you there was snake pit in there, right? That's what marriage is like. That I want that is easy for me to describe, right? You jump into marriage, right? You think it's all willy nilly, right? You think it's all great until at the end of your relationship, until the end of your marriages, then you find out the dark truth about how evil this construct of marriage is, right? How they don't tell you the penal code, the laws, the structures, the legal matters about marriage, the contracts, right? When you sign a marriage contract, it doesn't tell you all these stuff that go against you. It doesn't tell you all the consequences. But when you sign a marriage, it's all these fantasies, right? They don't include this in the contracts, right? When you sign that contract, you're in a different realm, right? The marriage and family law is totally different realm from civil laws, from criminal laws, from traffic violations. It's totally different, right? They have their own set of rules to apply by. Their set of rules does not necessarily mean the set of rules that you have to deal with in civil court, right? And they don't tell you this. That's why I'm comparing it. It's like jumping into a viper's pit, a venomous viper's pit. You can find out the hard truth later on in life, right? Later on in your relationship. And now, what if they tell you that, right? What if they tell you that later on, right? What if they tell you that before you marry? Well, when you know about all these bad side about marriage, is what that it only tells you if you're a rational person. It tells you, wow, this is not a good deal. I don't want to jump in marriage, right? I don't want to jump in marriage, right? Because you know what, marriage is a billion-dollar industry. If they tell you all these stuff, right, that basically jeopardizing all the divorce lawyers, divorce fees. The city, and the court, the state, whatever, they make a lot of money on all these fees and money off of you for getting divorces. So it does not incentivize the court, the lawyers, to tell you all these rules and regulations about marriages. If they were to tell you all these a lot of rules and regulations and the hard truth about marriages, what does that do to this court? These lawyers, it diminishes their income. There's no purpose, right? If people suddenly don't marry no more, if people suddenly don't tie the knot, it's messing with their money. That's why they don't tell you this in the contract, right? Why do you think people could go to a drive-through marriage in Vegas and just get married, right? And they don't tell you about these stuff. They tell you only about the glitz and glam, but they don't tell you the hard truth about marriages, right? Right? It's like jumping to a venomous snake pit. If you see a snake pit, would you jump into it? No, because you know there's consequences. Now, what if there's a pit and they're covered with foliage? You don't know what's underneath. For all they can say, there's a bunch of golds and chocolates and rainbows and all that stuff, right? You'll be more inclined to jump into that pit to get all the jewels and stuff, right? But no, they don't tell you all the rules until it's too late. Until most men find it's too late. That marriages is not about love. Is a contract, right? And a lot of men fall for this stuff. This is why they don't project these on TV shows. They don't project this on mainstream media of how the deep reality. They don't even project this in churches, right? Churches like to spread all these things about church, that marriage is a holy matrimony. When you think about it, marriage is not. I don't think marriage has to do with anything about God at all. When you look down into it, the construct of marriage, like 2000 BC, a long time ago, the dawn of human civilization, right? The construct of marriage is very paganistic because of the ceremony. They're ceremonious, right? They're worshiping things. They're exchanging crystals, right? It's not an idea of God when you deconstruct the idea of marriage, right? When you deconstruct it, bone for bone, word for word, all this stuff, it totally go against God and the believing of God, right? That's why I'm saying that marriage today or any other marriage doesn't have nothing to do with God at all. It has to do with paganisms, right? But I digress on that part. That's a time for another video when we talk about the origin of marriages. What I'm talking about, that the reality of marriages is not what you see. It's not what it is, what people think it is, right? People need to understand the real nature of marriages, right? It's basically a business contract, right? And what's contract? And what's contract? Contract could be a bad side and good side. You have to know about construct, laws, and all that stuff to get married. Why do you think divorce court? You have to have an attorney, right? Why do you think that? Because the law is so complex. The law is written so complex for you to confuse you on purpose, so you don't know what to do, right? If guys would have known more about how marriage worked, a lot of guys would not get married, right? They understand the logic of getting married. It's not a good deal to get married. I mean, if you're gonna get married, might as well. If you still believe in this idea of marriage, you don't need to get the government involved, right? I know, and that's what people don't understand about how ruthless this idea of marriage is. I'm not for marriage. I'm anti-marriage, right? You can still have a baby. I mean, I don't. I like to say I'm a person of faith. Don't have kids out of wedlocks, right? But to me, I think if you talk with God and 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 have a vow with God, then it's probably allowed. Probably allowed. I don't know, but I'm not a priest. But anyway, but I don't think God wants you to be fruitful and multiply, right? So there's got to be another back end to the story about marriage and how this thing come about, right? There's got to be a backstory from this, right? I don't think the idea of construct of contracts is have anything to do with God or anything at all, right? So, I'm not saying I'm for having kids out of wedlock. You can still have marriage, just make a promise with God, make a pact with God. You don't need to get the state involved. But back to my point is that a lot of guys are very clueless. They still live in this fairy tale that marriage is sunshine and rainbows, right? They need to understand that's not what it seemed to be. People have been misled and lied to about marriages all the time, right? Marriage, not only that, marriage today there's a more percentage of you filing for divorce than it is for you to survive your marriage, right? Especially modern day marriage, right? Modern day marriage, right? Most people are lucky they're lucky if they make it to the what 40th anniversary, right? Usually it don't last that long, right? So so before you get into this idea of marriage is a sunshine and rainbows, know the backstories, know the consequences, know the rules of what it is, what you're getting yourself into. It's like jumping to a snake pit. You don't know there's snake pit in there, right? Until it's too late. Then the next thing you can get bitten, get venomous poisoning, all these stuff, right? If you would have known sooner, you could avoid these problems, right? It's like preventative measures. It's like going to the dentist. If you brush and floss your teeth, you wouldn't need to go to the dentist for that root canal. It would just take care of things beforehand, and that's what it is, right? Do yourself a favor and learn about the construct, the history of marriage, the origin of marriage, how it come about, the true nature of the marriage. You need to learn how to deconstruct it, right, before jumping in. All right, it's like a Florida. You just not jump into any body of water. Expect alligators to be in that water if you're in Florida, right? Same goes with marriage, right? It's a cruel world we live in, man. It's a very cruel world, and that's why they don't want to teach this kind of stuff. If they teach you the true natures about wedding, that's a lot of money being lost, right? It don't incentivize lawyers to be attorneys because there's no money to be made in divorce system work because people don't get married. The state's not gonna make money, right? The drive-through weddings chapel's not gonna make money. It's a hustle. It's a big hustle. To me, I think this whole idea of the marriage industry, the wedding industry, is a big hustle. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Multi-billion-dollar industry, trillion-dollar industry, whatever it is. It makes a lot of money, right? And it makes no sense if they tell you the truth about how marriage is, right? If they tell you the truth about how marriage is, it don't incentivize guys to get married, right? Because of it is what it is. If lawyers and mainstream media were to project this, it don't incentivize lawyers to tell you the truth, right? Because there's a lot of money in it. Because there's a lot of money into marriage. They're not incentivized to tell you the truth about how bad marriage is, the dark side about marriage. But that's what I want to cover with you. Marriage is like jumping to a snake pit and you don't know there's snakes in it, right? They like to say all this stuff, right? They like to lie to you. But on that note, guys, if I missed something and you want to elaborate and comment on it, leave a comment below, right? And if you want to support my video, like my video, share my video, subscribe to my video. I make video daily, right? I drop video daily. But if you want to support, like, share, subscribe. On that note, guys, as always, peace and blessings.